Hey guys, it's Matt, and welcome to Mentorship Monday. Remember, if you've got questions for Mentorship Monday, you need to email them to helpme@DeRosaGroup.com. That's helpme@DeRosaGroup.com. We've got a few Mentorship Mondays in the pipeline coming down, so once we get it, we'll put you out in the next couple of weeks. This week's question comes from Nick, coming from Chicago. Nick was commenting on a 49-unit building that we bought out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Nick wants to talk about net operating income. He says, let's say the previous owner of the 49-unit building was paying for the water in full, so the tenants do not pay water at all. This would obviously be an expense that would affect the net operating income. Correct. We'll talk about NOI in a second. Let's say that you now submeter each of these units and the tenants pay their own water. Would this affect the NOI? Since you're transferring expenses from yourself, the owner, to the tenants, that would decrease your expenses and increase the value of the property. Absolutely, Nick. You're absolutely right. It will increase the NOI for the building. Typically, on this building, actually, the water and sewer bill is $25,000 a year. Whoa, that's a lot. But compared to a building where the overall expenses are just under $200,000, it's not a huge part of the expenses, but it is something to consider for the expenses for the building. So it is a viable thing to bring up. Probably not something we're going to do on a 49-unit building because it'll cost us quite a bit to make that investment. So we're not going to do that up front, but it is something that we have in our wheelhouse for like a phase two type of look. You've also got to read your leases to make sure that the lease contracts you have allow for transfer utilities over to tenants when you make those changes. And if you're on month-to-month leases, or if you're on a contract where the rents are already low compared to the market, that's a good way to backdoor increase your NOI without coming to the tenants with a huge rent increase, is just start pushing utilities into their name through submetering. I love to separate the heating for a building through putting a separate furnace in, especially if you've already got the gas meter there. It's real simple to drop in a furnace and put things, or even electric baseboard heat. They make those pretty efficient these days. It's not back the old days where it'll increase the tenant's expenses to the point where they'll move out if you put them on electric baseboard. So I love to get heat in tenants' names, electricity, gas, all that stuff. I have not done a water submeter job yet, although we're building a small apartment building and we're going to submeter on that. I have heard of landlords doing it. You do need to calculate the return on investment because it is a investment up front to make that kind of thing happen. But as you point out, let's say, for an example, we take that submetering project on for this 49-unit building and make the investment. If we save all 25 grand, if I'm able to get everything over to the tenants and increase our NOI by $25,000, which again, NOI is calculated rents minus expenses minus whatever vacancy you got, that creates your NOI. So if I reduce my expenses, to Nick's point, I increase my net operating income. The next question is, how does this affect value? Well, let's just say really, really conservatively, this building is valued on a 9 cap. Okay, we have other stuff out there about cap rates, so you can look on, there's another Mentorship Monday, I think, on cap rates, so you guys should pull that up. I'll actually put that in the notes below. You can pull up that video on cap rates. But let's say I increase my NOI by 25 grand, $25,000. I divide that by 0.09, super conservative cap rate. That's $275,000 that I've increased my building value by. Now, we just bought the building like 3 weeks ago. I'm not going to be selling anytime soon, but I could enjoy that $25,000 in additional revenue once we get all the leases converted and once we get all the tenants over to paying their bills, once we get the sub-meters in and stuff like that. So it's a great point, Nick. Might not make that move up front for that building, might be getting into some other things with the investment, including like perhaps there's a huge parking lot on the site. We might be putting a self-storage center out there. We might do some other things to do some revenue generating activity. But Nick brings up a great point. It's something all you guys should be looking at on how can I increase my net operating income for a building by getting expenses out of my name, increasing rents, of course, but also doing other things like an on-site laundry you can do. That'll increase value for your building. For this particular 49-unit building, all the tenants to actually have their own washer dryers, so it's not something we would do there. But there's other things you can do for your assets you guys have to get up your net operating income, and then it increases the value for your building via the cap rate. So again, help me at DeRosaGroup.com. If you've got questions, help me at DeRosaGroup.com. Thank you so much, Nick from Chicago, for your question. Hope this is of value to you guys. As always, ask questions of us. We want to help you guys. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great and profitable week.